I've been wanting to do a vinyl record collection video for quite a while now, and yeah, just finally getting around to it. Just a few quick disclaimers, so to say. We're definitely not going to get through it all in this one video just because I have so many. We've got a milk crate here, probably has 40 to 50 records in it. I've got about 5 more milk crates, and so yeah, just no way to do justice to the collection and do it all in one video. Otherwise I'd be like, hey, here's one, boom, 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 and wouldn't really get a chance to show you guys what I have. So yeah, probably gonna be 1 crate or so per video, so it'll probably be like 6 parts to this. And next big thing is most of my collection's hip-hop, although I do definitely have some other records in there. I've got like a bin full of rock stuff, a few jazz records, some electronic stuff, some R&B, that kind of stuff. So there's quite a bit to get through, and it won't all just be hip-hop, but most of it is. This bin in particular right here is like my 90s stuff. There's a few other like 90s records and whatnot sprinkled around in my other bins, but this is the bulk of it. So in any case, that's what we're going to be hitting today, and yeah, that's about it. Also, if you hear a little bit of beeping in the background, that is not me, but my neighbor's smoke detector seems to have gone off, so I apologize for that. I don't think it'll be too loud because it's already quiet enough for me, but if you hear it, that's what it is. So we'll jump right in. This is Big Pun's Big Punisher, or excuse me, I'm reading that off the back. It's Capital Punishment by Big Pun. Great record. I think Big Pun is an underrated lyricist from the 90s. He died pretty young. We only got a couple albums out of him, so that's a little bit sad and disappointing that we didn't get more, but I do think that this is a pretty solid record. There's a lot to love about it. Not only are there some pretty big 90s hits, but we also get just some good deep cuts. So pretty sweet record. This is just on standard black. Nothing too special about the jacket, but yeah, pretty nice. We are going to go ahead and get into the Nas discography. So probably the next 10 or so records are Nas. First one up is Illmatic. This is maybe the greatest debut hip-hop album of all time. A lot of people would argue it's the greatest hip-hop album of all time. So I probably don't have a ton to say on this. I know there's a lot to say about the record itself, but it's been rehashed time and time again. If you don't know about this record, just go listen to it. You'll understand why it's important. It definitely summarizes what hip-hop was like in the 90s, and summarizes, like what a New York 90s lifestyle is for an African American. There's a lot to love about this record, and I think it's aged perfectly. So yeah, this one's on a clear pressing. It's a European import, so pretty cool. I don't love clear pressings, but as far as clear pressings go, this is a pretty solid pressing for it. Next one is It Was Written. This is the follow-up to Illmatic, and a lot of people were a little bit disappointed with this because they were hoping for more after such a strong debut. I think that this is a great follow-up, and even though it's not as good as Illmatic, it certainly is worth listening to, and in my case, purchasing, collecting. This is, I believe, the 25th anniversary edition, so it comes on like a smoky clear pressing. It's got like brown and gray and black splotches, so it's pretty cool. And then it also came with this 7-inch disc. It has The Message and Sweet Dreams, so pretty neat little thing. And it also did come with the cassette tape I just sold that because I don't really collect much for cassettes. So anyway, another great record. And the follow-up to, well, I guess it wasn't the next Nas record to come out, but the next one in my collection at least, Stillmatic. I kind of love the bling outfit from the early 2000s. I think that's so funny now. But yeah, great record. A lot of hits on this. Of course, I love Ether. Yeah, it's just another good solid Nas project. I'll try and keep it fairly brief on these Nas records, just because I know that there's a lot of them, and you know. By the way, that was a great pressing. This is God's Son, another Nas record. Not much to say about this. It's in light blue. Pretty cool. More hits on that one. Some good songs. Alright. This next one is Nasir. Of my Nas collection, this is probably my least favorite. Not to say that this is an awful or a bad record. I think that there's still a lot of merit to it. I think this record for a lot of people was a little bit of a disappointment. It was produced by Kanye and part of the Wyoming Run. So if you're familiar with Kids See Ghosts and the Ye Project, he also did Daytona by Pusha T. There's another one that a female artist did, but I forget her name. I should know it. But yeah, this was one of the Wyoming Run projects. There's some cool production in here, and I think that there's a lot of cool cuts. But I don't really think Ye or Nas were at their peak in this collaborative moment. And so could have been really cool. And while there are some great moments, like I said, not as good as I would have liked for it to be. And that was on Standard Black as well. So the next three are the King's Disease albums. This is a trilogy, collaborative effort between Nas and producer Hit Boy. I think that these albums are great. I don't think that they're the top of Nas's catalog. I do think he has some much stronger records early in his discography, but one thing I do love about this trilogy is that they progressively got better. First one was decent. There's some pretty cool bangers. Also, I love that cover. It's super cool. And this is pressed on like a translucent red. And then, yeah, so the first one was decent. Second one was really solid. And, you know, I really enjoyed this one as well. Third one, though, King's Disease 3, I think is the best, which is funny because, well, I don't know that funny is the right word, but Nas is all by himself. There's no features, it's just him and Hit Boy. But I think that that kind of goes to show that they are a strong duo and have some pretty good chemistry. And so, you know, 30 years into your career and you're dropping this, that's pretty impressive. A lot of artists come and go and their quality drops off significantly. And that's not to say that Nas has had a perfect run and no misses, but I think that this is extremely impressive to have that far into your career. And then the last Nas record I have is also another collab with Hit Boy. This is the Magic one. And the other two Magics I wasn't as big on. They're just, I feel like they're the B-sides in a lot of ways. It felt like maybe they were rushed. I believe 2 and 3 came out like a month apart, and so it just wasn't very well put together in my opinion. But yeah, this one's on like this kind of like cool gray splotchy. But yeah, pretty cool. And then King's Disease 2 was, keep forgetting to tell you guys, but King's Disease 2 was on like a gold color, and 3 was just standard black. So, but yeah, that's the Nas collection. And next up, I do believe we have like we've got Mobb Deep, the Infamous. So this is probably one of my favorite 90s records. As a kid, I say kid, but when I was in high school, I always thought that looked like Snoop Dogg, which is funny because I just think it's the angle. It's not at all. Snoop Dogg, obviously, it's Havoc and Prodigy, but yeah, this one's pretty standard. It comes out on black 180 gram, so pretty nice pressing. I definitely love a heavy record, so yeah, again, not much to say about this. There's plenty online if you want to learn more about the album. Maybe I'll talk about this more in depth someday, but just so many great hits on this. Not even hits necessarily, but just great songs from the 90s. Production's super good. Eye for an Eye is great. Of course, Survival of the Fittest. Give Up the Goods. Triflife. Shook Ones Part 2, obviously. Like, yeah, can't say much other than good things. Let's see. So it looks like we're getting into the Outkast side of things. This is Southern Playalistic, Cadillac Music. I always think that there's the funky in there because that's in the actual song. But yeah, this is a VMP edition. So you can kind of see it's reflective. It's got like a chrome on top of it. I don't know how to describe it. Back is pretty sweet, and I'll just show you this real quick. It's on like this like reddish orange. It looks bright in the video, but it's more like rusty in real life. So pretty nice pressing for a lot of people. Not that this is a bad album, but this is the bottom of the Outkast catalog. And I don't know necessarily where I would be ranking this album, because Outkast pretty much came out with just straight banger albums. But all I really have to say is this is a great album. I don't know that it deserves to be at the bottom. And they definitely were like working on finding their sound, and you know, they hadn't quite embraced their characters as much, but there's some fantastic music on here. Ain't No Thing, that's like one of my favorite Windows Down Summertime Drive songs. It's just so good. Of course, the title track, Southern Playalistic, is great. Players Ball, man, there's just so many good songs on this, and if you haven't gone into Outkast's full discography, I mean, this is the first one. It's a great place to start. You can't go wrong there. They only get better from here too. So really love that album. Next one is ATLiens. This is, or at least it was, probably my favorite Outkast record for a really long time. We've got ATLiens, Wheels of Steel, Jazzy Belle, Elevators, Babylon, Decatur Psalm, 13th Floor. I mean, it's just such a classic album. I love this album cover too. It's like a comic book. This is the 25th anniversary edition, so it's got gatefold. So there's like this right here, and I'll show you too. The cases actually have like a comic book on them, which is really cool. So you can like read them in order. This is like the last disc, so. But yeah, it's super sweet. These are standard black, and so pressing itself isn't anything crazy, but I just like this edition. And then there's the back side. It's 4 LPs, so the first 2 are like the album. Second 2 are the instrumentals. So yeah, overall fantastic record. I need to spin this more. It doesn't get enough attention. This next one is Aquemini. A lot of people think that this is Outkast's best record, and you know, I can partially agree. I think I still prefer ATLiens just a little bit over this one, but another great one. Art of Storytelling, super great. And Spotty Yachty Dopalicious, Rosa Parks, of course. Man, there's just so many good songs on this. Yeah, I need to listen to this one again too. It's so good. But yeah, Outkast Clemini. This one's also on a standard black. And getting to the end of their discog here. This is Stankonia. I love this album cover. So many hip hop artists have been inspired by that album cover. Like most recently, Pink Tape by Uzi, which I didn't really love, but album cover was cool. Definitely the same vibe. And then I always get it confused what the title is, but there's the A$AP Rocky mixtape where he's standing in front of the flag. It's black and white. I'm pretty sure he saw something in this and wanted to recreate it his way. So, but yeah, I mean, this one too, this was like when they were a little bit more commercial. We've got So Fresh, So Clean, Gasoline Dreams, Miss Jackson, oh man, B.O.B., we've got Explosion, man, there's so many good songs. Yeah, I love Stankonia. If I had to say, it's second place is between Stankonia and Aquemini, for sure. And then this one is the last Outkast record. This is one I probably listen to the least just because it's so long. This is Speakerboxxx and Love Below. So this album, if you didn't know, won Best Album, not Best Rap Album, but Best Album at the Grammys. I think it was in 2004, and that was the last time a rap album took that award. So this is a double album. Speakerboxxx is the first half, and Love Below is the second half. And yeah, not to get too deep into it, but at the time they were kind of creatively going two different directions. Big Boy was more into like the blingy rap stuff, and Three Stacks was a little bit more into like the R&B, creative, experimental side of things. And so instead of going their separate ways, they just did a double album and made their half their own way, which was really cool. And so this is a very cool album. It's really, really long though. I honestly don't listen to it very often, but there's still some good stuff. Some of their biggest hits are off this album. So, yeah. All right. So this record, truthfully, I'm not really sure why this is in my collection, other than it was the VMP subscription, 1 month. I really don't even think I've gotten through this record one time, but I have listened to. I haven't necessarily loved. No disrespect to Big Boy, because I think he is a great rapper, but not a huge fan of this. This is Sir Lucius Left Foot by Big Boy. It's just on like a purple pressing. It's VMP. Honestly, it is a cool pressing, and jacket's nice. It's like textured with foil, so it is cool. It's just not my kind of thing. And next we've got Tribe Called Quest. So this is, I can never remember the full title. It's People's Instinctive Travels in the Paths of Rhyme. First Tribe album. Yeah, what can I say about this? It's a classic in terms of jazz rap, and the samples on here are simple, but they're also super clean and well done. It also has kind of like that dusty vibe to it, which is cool. You can still tell too, they have like that, like, I believe this came out in like 89 if I'm not mistaken, but they still have like the 80s flow where everyone was on like the same like bouncy rhythm kind of thing. And this is one of the few records like that I love. You know, not that this is what I look for in music, but this album definitely radiates positivity, and it's just kind of a feel good, fun album to listen to. So If you haven't listened to any Tribe, this is, not only is it the first record, but it's a good place for you to start. Second one is the Low End Theory, and that is their sophomore effort. This pressing I got from Vinyl Me Please, and yeah, it's a real nice pressing. It's cut at 45 RPM, so it's, I guess you could say it's like a remaster. The audio quality is a little bit better, and the jacket's also pretty nice. I won't take it out because it's a little bit tough to get back in, but it's textured right here. What's really cool too is the red and green are the colors of the LPs, and so I don't know, just the packaging on this was great. You know, with it being 45 too, sound quality is also fantastic. This is probably one of the best Tribe albums, and I think most people would agree. They're just some really great jazz loops and samples on here, and I think this is really when they came into their own sound. So yeah, Low End Theory, Tribe Called Quest, fantastic record. This next one is my personal favorite. This is Midnight Marauders by Tribe Called Quest, and this one's pretty straightforward. For me, this is a great summertime album. Yeah, it's just super enjoyable. It's a bit of a concept record, and so it's very enjoyable. Not that there's like any crazy in-depth story, but it's just a little bit of something to keep your attention on top of the great music. They kept it going with the jazz samples and even added a little bit more texture to them as well. So yeah, my personal favorite, Midnight Marauders. It's a fun one. Definitely check it out if you haven't. And then this one is Beats, Rhymes, and Life, also Tribe Called Quest. This is on Standard Black. To tell you the truth, while I enjoy this record, I think this was like one of the lower points in their discography. This and The Love Movement, which is, I can't remember which one came first, but I don't have that one on vinyl. Production on here is great. They definitely took a turn from the jazzy loops, and so I think that that's where maybe they lost some of the hardcore fans. Again, you know, not that this is a bad record. I have it for a reason. I still think it's enjoyable, but when you compare it to their earlier stuff, it's completely different. So totally different vibe. Like I said, this one's on black, so not much to say there. And then this one I think was a perfect way to end out the series or the discography. This is, we got it from Here, Thank You for Your Service. And I forget if it's Fife or Ali, but one of the Tribe members passed away. And so this is kind of like a memorial album, so to say, or like a goodbye album. This was done perfectly in my opinion, and it's not my all-time favorite Tribe record, but it feels like a strong yet safe and respectable conclusion to their group. And I would never be mad if we got another Tribe record, but I just think this is too perfect to make another one. Like, just leave it here. This is great. So yeah, alrighty, we're gonna get into the Wu-Tang. Of course, to start things off, we've got Enter the 36 Chambers. This is such an amazing album, and I think if you're a hip-hop fan, you've probably heard it 100 times already. If you haven't, you need to. This stays in my rotation all year, every year. Like, I'm always playing this record. This probably gets the most love out of my record collection. If not the most love, then it's up there. I will show you the pressing on this one because it's pretty damn cool. It's this like clear white, black, and yellow splatter. This came out yesterday for the 30th anniversary. It's really cool. So yeah, very nice album. This one, you know, again, it's been talked about a lot, but you know, you're getting classic RZA production. Everyone is spitting some filthy verses because they are just so hungry. And the cohesiveness and chemistry between the Wu-Tang members is just crazy. I don't know how you can find, you know, 10 people that are that good at rapping. I guess it was 9 because they didn't have Capadonna, but you know, and make something that great. Like it doesn't happen, and it wouldn't happen again, at least by today's standards. It's wild. Okay, Wu-Tang Forever. This is a double LP, so we got four LPs in here. Yeah, this one is also a great album. It's just pressed on standard black. 180 gram. This thing weighs a ton. It's probably like 2-3 pounds, which is a lot for a record. Yeah, I mean, there's some good bangers on there. I don't think anything could ever top 36 Chambers, but it's still a fun one, and I think that it would be sad not to have it. Okay, getting into Wu-Tang's solo discography, we have here Tikal. This is Method Man's first album. Yeah, I don't necessarily love this one. I know a lot of people think it's like one of the best solo Wu albums, and while I think it's enjoyable, I just don't think it holds a candle to some of the other ones that I'm about to show you, so that's why. But yeah, still a fun one to listen to. This is the Vinyl Me Please. It's on like a grayish brown color with like some black speckles. This is also Vinyl Me Please. This is Inspectah Deck's Uncontrolled Substance. This is on like a light blue. It's kind of nice. It's got like this matte finish on the cardboard. And then I got foil stamped for this. Again, not my favorite solo Wu project, but it's got some fun RZA production, and you know, I still think it's worth listening to. One thing I will say too, I feel bad for Deck because I know that there was a tape or like a hard drive full of like great RZA production. He had his own album ready to go, and I believe there was like a flood or something that destroyed it. And so I think this album could have and would have been a lot better if they had their original content, but it is what it is. Old Dirty Bastard, Return to the 36 Chambers, standard black. If you love ODB, then this is a great album. I enjoy this album a lot, but I do think it's hard to sit through a full ODB album sometimes, just because he's a little bit eccentric. He's definitely a character, not for everyone, but it's still a fun album to listen to. Got Ghostface Killah's debut. This is Iron Man. It's got this case on it, so the real album cover is here underneath. It's on like this blue and white. You can see that's what it looks like. Pretty sweet pressing. I do enjoy that one. And I do prefer Supreme Clientele over Iron Man. However, it's still a classic in my opinion in the Wu discography. For a lot of people, this is the favorite in the solo Wu projects. This is only built for Cuban Links. This is Raekwon, and this one has a purple pressing. Real short story behind that. When Raekwon was getting the cassette tapes printed, or I don't know what the terminology is, but when they were making the cassette tapes for this album, he wanted to do purple because he thought it would stand out. And so that's what they did for this. And for a lot of people, they know this album as the Purple Tape. But great album, a bit of a concept album too. Just, similar story to like Scarface and the drug kingpins and stuff like that. So it's pretty sweet. I definitely enjoy this quite a bit. But for me, I think this next one is my favorite Wu-Tang solo, and that is Liquid Swords by GZA. And this is just like one of those lyrical masterpieces. So many double entendres and just crazy, crazy bars from GZA. And it's just so replayable. Of course, you've got like classic RZA production, songs like Fourth Chamber, Liquid Swords, Shadowboxing, Gold. Every song on this track list is just a straight banger, and it's made with like classic Wu sound. Again, this one probably gets nearly as much play as 36 Chambers does. And this is like, personally, this is like a top 3 album of all time for me. I just love this album so much. So the next one here we've got, let's see. This is Law the Darkman. He is a Wu affiliate. He's not necessarily part of Wu-Tang, but he was kind of like one of the side characters, I guess. I don't know how to describe him, but in any case, Law the Darkman. This one I don't listen to a ton. I just kind of have it for collection. But there are some bangers on here. Lucci is pretty good. Figaro Chain, Fifth Disciple. And there's some Wu features on here as well, which is pretty cool. So definitely a fun one to listen to every now and then. And then we've got Capadonna, The Pillage. This is the last Wu-Tang record. And, Capadonna was in prison at the time of 36 Chambers being released. And so he doesn't really get the recognition as an original member of Wu-Tang, even though he came in afterwards. I think that a lot of these songs are totally underrated. Do I think it's on the same level as, Iron Man and Liquid Swords and Cuban Links? Not at all. I think it's a little bit away from them, but this is still totally worth listening to. I think this is on like a yellow and white pressing. So, but yeah, still a great album to listen to. I still enjoy it every now and then. And now we're kind of airing on the Dr. Dre production side of things. First album we've got is Doggy Style, California classic. Growing up in California myself, they always played Gin and Juice and What's My Name on the radio. So yeah, this is another solid album. To tell you the truth, I'm not the biggest Snoop fan, and this is probably the only Snoop record I can listen to front to back. It's produced by Dre, so beats go crazy, of course, and I think this was when Snoop was young and hungry, and so it worked out. Perfect storm. But great album, classic album cover. It's pretty funny. Hopefully it's not a problem for YouTube at all. But yeah, great album. And then next up we've got The Chronic, which is another California classic. This is Dr. Dre's debut solo album. It's funny I say solo album because this album is essentially a collab with Snoop Dogg, with how many features he has on this. But yeah, definitely went into the G-Funk groove, and this was the beginning of that era, that and Doggy Style, and definitely killed it. I think this album cover is kind of funny too. You can tell it was like when they're still in that weird 90s phase, and not everything is like totally centered right, but it's still classic, so can't judge it too much. And of course, what would a Dre collection be without this classic right here? We've got the 2001 by Dr. Dre. I think this is Dr. Dre's best production ever. If you know Dr. Dre, then you'll know he is very particular about what he puts out because he's a perfectionist. And that is a perfect album, in my opinion, production and all. Not the biggest Eminem fan, I'll come out right away and just say that. But I do like his first 3 albums. So right here we've got the Slim Shady LP, also produced by Dr. Dre. And then we've got the Marshall Mathers LP. And at some point I'd like to get the Eminem Show. I just haven't yet. Standard black, nothing too crazy about this pressing. And then we've got All Eyes on Me by Tupac. This is a double album. And I mean, this is produced by Dre. I don't know if it's totally, completely produced by Dre, but this is when he was with him. Lots of great songs on that. More G-Funk, that kind of thing. It's very classic West Coast album. Alright, I'm not a huge Game fan, but this album is great. And it's almost a 50 collab because of how many times he's on here. This is VMP, it's a red pressing. Also pretty cool because it's got like the foil on here. You'll see the reflective on Compton. It's gatefold. I love this pressing. For a while, this was one of my favorite records. And not that it's not a great record, but I just think that this is such a fun and cool pressing. The packaging is super nice. Also executive produced by Dre and 50 Cent. So there you go. And then the last Dre produced record, we've got 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying. This is the Iron Man version. Honestly, I wish I'd gotten the original cover because I just think it's one of the hardest album covers of all time. It's got 50 on the back though. It's like a translucent red pressing. Yeah, I mean, classic early 2000s bling era album, and not much else to say. Try and get through these before the battery dies. We've got Biggie. This is Ready to Die. It's a VMP pressing, and it's on like a black and white and red splatter. Super great album. I mean, it's been said before, but Ready to Die is like the craziest name for this album, given that Biggie's time was cut very short. And then, of course, we got Life After Death, the second album, which is a double album. It came out like a few days after he died, if I'm correct. So, crazy names. Yeah, it's just so sad that we lost him when we did, just because I think that he had so much potential, and even with 2 albums, he's still considered one of the greats. So I will say this album, I don't know if I've ever really sat down and fully listened to it front to back, just because it's a double album. I mean, there's 3 LPs on here, so it is just very long. But yeah, you know, of course we got the classics like Hypnotize, Last Day, Mo Money, More Problems, Notorious Thugs, another, Going Back to Cali, 10 Crack Commandments, right? Like, there's so much to take from this album. So Yeah, and this is also on a standard black. So that's the first bin of 6.